And so that ties right into what we were talking about earlier with the horses. One thing that kind of grinds my axe a little bit is we spend a lot of money on having these projects, and then we end up watering a lot of horses.
We're putting everything in our projects now. It has to be horse and burrow proof fencing around the project.
Yep. So
perfect.
Yeah, and as people know that have been around horses, like I have, grew up around livestock, is that they are bullies, as you described, John, at the watering hole. They'll stand there and just
his whole series is Bullies on the Range,
yeah.
And we're going to be pushing that out there, so you can go to huntingfishing.com and keep track of what JK's doing, and I appreciate the frustration level that you have dealing with these
they're water thugs,
folks.
Water thugs, yes.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, they are. They'll drive anything and everything off.
Well, and I tell you what, what it comes down to is if you love wildlife like I do, native wildlife, and you want to see these animals out there.
I love it all. They're really tasty.
Then we have to manage for them. We have to do what we can do and use common sense approach to managing wildlife. And if we have an issue where we have an overabundance of feral horses, then we got to do something. We can't just sit back and make decisions based on emotions. We got to make decisions based on good, sound management and biology and science.
And I asked the question, which science?
Yeah, they have science that claims that they could have 6 million horses all up in the Apache Sickers and everybody would be fine.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. And, on that note,
well, you can cherry pick the data all you want and make it come out high. But if you talk to
a rancher,
if you talk to Arizona Game and Fish or some of these folks that are biologists, they'll tell you, hey, it is a problem. They acknowledge that it's a problem out there, and a lot of people know this. So that's, I guess, when I say science, that's what I'm talking about. We've got to acknowledge the fact that there is a problem.
You have to, they should have the feral horses should have the same standards of operation as cattle do for the ranchers. You have AUMs, you are allotted X, and they have to be moved from pasture to pasture in order for habitat to thrive. Period. Exactly. End of story.
Will you help me with my understanding of the Salt River sterilization program? So they go out and they dart the mares.
The mares have been darted twice. Yes.
Okay. And so they're incapable of conception, but they come into heat every 27 days.
That's the theory going forward. Now that all the mares have been darted, there's some question as to whether or not they will come into season every 28 days.
Thank you.
It's called freshening, whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah. The women will be winking, as the saying goes.
That sounds like a good way to get kicked in the head.
Oh, it does happen. Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting if the PPZ, which I think is the drug that they used on the mares. I mean, they have a really good handle on how many mares there are. They know them all by name. They've done a great job of documenting.
That's the damn problem.
I understand it, but you have to have documentation. And they'll keep an eye on if they go into freshening every 28 days, that will drive the herd nuts because it'll be constant turmoil for both the mares as well as the stallions.
I do the same thing. I'm going deer hunting. I'm going after Bambi's daddy named Louie. Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Rabbit hole.
Yeah, we can't go down that way, man.
I can't. Well, we have our own sterilization program sponsored by Winchester, Hornaday, and Ruger. So I'm just saying.
Here we go.
No,
here we go.
That is a whole different universe. The Salt River herd is totally different.
Can.
Hey, that's the only one that was created by state legislation. So you deal with the state legislators and their absolute incredible stupidity.
There's going to come a time very shortly. It's called election. They'll be dealt with, and the federal government. We will make a really hard effort, as you know, to meet with the new
Department of Interior.
DOI. Sorry.
Thank you.
Bernhardt, and see if we can't. He's the boss of the Forest Service. The Forest Service needs a directive to say, hey, guys, go get those horses, get them off the landscape, give them back to the Indians.
Yep. Which is where they belong.
Send Bureau of Indian Affairs a bill for what's the cost to round up? You're a rancher. How much does it cost to go catch a horse?
I wouldn't have any idea. I mean, to do it under certain guidelines, I bet is incredibly expensive.
Yeah, which you need
helicopters under federal guidelines.
You need helicopters.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And if you're doing it out of canyons, it's a lot of work.
We're spending $80-90 million a year to house feral
livestock
adoptees.
They're not adoptable. If you've been sitting in that kind of I mean, most of those horses have been sitting in the horse hotels for the last 10 years, 20 years. You know, they live and die on those horse hotels. We have over 48,000 animals that nobody wants to adopt. That's why the government's offering to pay people $1,000 to take
Dave.
a horse. Dave, you can have one in your backyard, have it chew up all the noxious weeds you want. Yeah.
Then you better buy an alfalfa farm, because it'd be cheaper to buy an alfalfa farm than it would be to buy the hay that you're
Oh,
going to
yeah.
need.
By the way, hay and everything this year, the price of that stuff is way up because transporting, it's expensive now.
Okay, so the Salt River horse debacle,
It's not a debacle. It's a work in progress.
what you call it, whatever you want to.
Thank you.
So the left wingers were up there feeding the horses. How long did they feed them? What did that cost?
You know, they took care of feeding their own horses. Last year, it cost them $87,000 to feed them.
And they had to feed them because they ate everything where they were.
Yeah.
Right up by Butcher Jones. Yeah.
Well, Butcher Jones horses will no longer ever be there. But all the horses along the river, all the way from the Goldfields, all the way up through to the dam, all of those horses, there's a lot of horses in there. And they know it's an issue. We're dealing with it. We're working on it. It's something that'll happen. But last year they had to pay, and they paid all through donations. No federal money or the state money came for those horses.
And we didn't help them haul water.
Nope. No, of course not.
Yeah.
That were up north. And
Yeah,
down.
they wanted ADA, MDF, the Game and Fish Department to haul water to the damn horses.
That was up in the Heber area
did you
because they
get
were
involved in
dying.
that? Okay, it's like, what?
Yeah, they're naive. They were up there.
Naive?
Naive they're naive. They're newbies into conservation, and they think we're going to pay for their horses to have water.
Forrest Gump said it best: "Stupid is as stupid does." So
Well, it's a collection of bad people. That's for darn sure.
yeah,
The ones up in Heber are the worst. I mean, working down here, I can work with people down here. You can talk to them, but the people up in Heber, they're nuts, and there are several of them. They are violent. They are anarchists. They are everything you don't want to see.
the shooting begins where the pavement ends. It's coming to that.
I hope we don't see it, but I'm scared to death of what's going to happen
Well, look,
this year.
we've got the big game season
Coming.
Archery season opens at the end of October. What the hell do you think is going to happen up there on the 51 road?
Well, first,
Here comes Don and Corley with 30-06s.
God,
Okay.
I hope so. I think we should have about 200 guys all spend a weekend driving up to 3A, 3C,
Shooting
3C
stumps.
specifically, shooting stumps. Everybody pick a mile marker and just go, because you are going to be on camera. They have hung trail cams on specific roads to see who's coming in and out, and they're publicizing your photos of your vehicle and your face if you can.
So
to see
what's
if
the
they know who you
penalty
are.
for destroying a trail cam that doesn't belong to you?
That I'm getting that
Is that
definition.
malicious mischief or what?
No. If it is not checked every 24 hours, it's considered abandoned property.
Well, how do you know that?
Well, that's the good question, isn't it, Donnie?
It's
I'm
like-
trying to find out.
That's like my thermos jug. I pour in hot coffee, I get hot coffee out. I
Mhm.
pour in cold lemonade, I get cold lemonade out. How does it know?